Okay, everybody. Glad to have you aboard. Now, what I'm going to do is basically, and I probably won't even go the full class time, give you kind of an overview of flex time in the final exam period, and how I handle that. We're down to that point now. You know, we've done a lot of front loading with assignments, and you'll see as I go through this today how that's got you in a position to be a little bit ahead of the game if you've been following along. So I want to talk about that and how I handle things and some typical kinds of things that will come up. Now, I'll save this recording. I'll process it and post it over here. And then on Tuesday, I'll do the same thing. And then it'll probably, again, maybe another 15 or 20 minutes run through. And then I'll be online and be available to help out. So I may be, I'm going to have to look at my schedule and see what's going on. I was able to escape having to be over in Oklahoma City this week. So I was able to be over here. I'll just have to take a look, but next Thursday for sure I'll be here in my office. So I'll kind of run you through that, through some of that process, but I'll be available for help, and then I'll have the virtual office hours and all that. And then the desperation sets in, people will start pinging me and wanting help. Let's look at where we are, and I can put some of this in context for us. We've worked through all of the Excel cases. We've worked through all of the Access cases, so you should have uploaded all of those and have them done, okay? Now, where are we? Well, let's move down here, and we're at week 11, okay? No, we're not. We're at week 12, dummy. Now, Access 1, we've done it. You should have uploaded it already. Access 2, same story. Access 3, same story. Access 4. You say, all right, so what does that mean? What that means is, since you've already uploaded all this work, you can get started on weeks 13 and 14, and then on the finals. You'll notice here that if you come down to week 13, it's flex time. What do I mean by that? Well, I know that you have at least 2.5 hours available to you every week, that week, to work on assignments that are upcoming, i.e. week 14. Okay? Now, again, what I try to do is to give you an opportunity to get a little bit ahead in here. So if you want, you could get as much as a week ahead. So if you want, and you got to shift some of your energies over to another course, you can do that. That's why it's called flex time, okay? And so let's take a look at this. What have you got coming up week 14? Week 14, we start with a spatial analysis exercise. I have a location there. It's not my location, but there's a location there, a restaurant in Oklahoma City called Camps. They've been around Oklahoma for a long time. They were the first delicatessen in the state. They used to be located on Classen Boulevard in Oklahoma City. This is their restaurant is down on Northwest 10th in Oklahoma City, their deli. Now, I'm going to have you use some mapping tools that are out there that are free and accessible to do an analysis, just walk you through some of the steps of doing a very simple spatial analysis, okay? Everything that you'll use is online. Everything you'll use is easy to use. And what we're going to do is we're going to see how this phenomena that's emerged, geographic information systems, mapping tools, etc., are really nothing more than a database, okay? And then running queries on the database. Now, it's been 7 or 8 years ago, KOCO was doing one of these things where they go around the state. So they came to OBU, I think it was 2009, because that was our 100th anniversary. to make a long story short, they came over one afternoon, and Rick Mitchell, who was then the meteorologist, came over and spoke to the business students. And he and I kind of just struck up a conversation with each other. And we both were not surprised, but affirmed some of our ideas about the fact that I said, what you really do over there is you have a map, and then you're getting data fed to you, and you basically run a series of queries on that data that you get from the Weather Service, and you give us some visual output. So yeah, that's what we do. I said, well, we do the same thing in business, and we talked about mapping and all that. That being said, I have you go through a series of steps, step by step, using some of these tools, okay? And the way that you show me that you've used them is that you'll provide me a print screen, okay? In the past, I've said screenshot, and what I've gotten is 4 souls who have used their phone to take a picture of the computer screen, and then it's about 6 megabytes to feed through the mail. Do a print screen, okay, and put it into a Word doc. Each of these steps as you do them, okay? There's nothing here it's not that big of a deal, and just use as an opportunity to see how we would do location analysis. And we do that starting with where the business is located spatially, etc., down to a point where it's located, say, next to thoroughfares. I give you an opportunity to use Google Earth and Google Maps to add some layers, things of that nature. And that's pretty much it. Nothing very, very difficult at all. But I think especially when you go in and you look at ESRI, their zip code lookup, you'll find it's got some interesting features and data that you can pull. Google Street Map, add that. I'll have you go over to Google Street Map and Google Earth, and Esri's tapestry segment. And again, prove that you've done it using the print screen. Not a big deal there. You can go online and you could use it, and you're good to go. So that's the first one of these kinds of projects that I've got lined up for you. Can I stop and answer a question for anybody? Okay. This is more for you to do some learning by exploration, as opposed to getting all whacked out about getting a right answer. If you just follow the directions, what will start to occur to you is, gee, there's some really highly usable tools out there that are open and free that I can use to analyze locations, okay? So I want you to kind of get have an opportunity to have your eyes open a little bit about those tools. Now, that being said, we'll go to the next. Of course, I have a place for you to upload the spatial analysis. And then I have a task for you, the self-developed quiz on the Davenport text. Davenport text is the one competing on analytics. And here's what I want you to do. I want you to create a self-developed quiz and store it in a table in one of these 3 applications: Microsoft Word, Microsoft Excel, or Microsoft Access. If you upload something from Apple, you're out of luck, okay? If you have Office for Mac and it will work for you, wonderful. If you don't, you'll need to use the computers in the labs. You can come in and access them, but I'm going to have you create 50 test items, true, false, okay? And you're going to create a table that has these following headings or dimensions: the question number, the question, the correct answer, the chapter where the correct answer can be found, and the page where the correct answer may be found. Pretty simple. So far, so good. Shouldn't be any big deal. For some of you, you'll say, hey, I think I'll try and put it into Access. I would say this, if you're going to go the Access route, what I would do is I'd put it in Excel first and then import it into Access. I've had students go so far as create a form, then populate a table. I'm impressed, but you don't get any extra points for that, okay? But the whole point here is to have you just kind of get used to working with these media and developing a table. Word's got table functions where you create a table. Obviously, Microsoft Access, same story, and then Microsoft Excel. That seemed pretty simple to everybody. Any questions? Yes? No? Okay. All right. So far, so good. And then a place to upload the self-developed quiz on competing on analytics. Now you'll notice that Access 5 is due. We've already done that. When we did the workshop for Access 5, you should have uploaded it already. Same story with Access 6. Now you see the method of my madness. All right. Now let's go back to the modules, okay? And we're going to move into the next set of work. Let me close this thing here for a second. And we'll go down. So we've 11. We talked about 12. And so next week, week 13, as I mentioned, you don't have class. Here's what will happen. Tuesday, I'll be on and do another short little spiel about this, about where you ought to be and the instructions and that stuff, and 20, 30 minutes period. That's it. Then I'll post the video. Okay? Question. Hang on here. I'm sorry, no. You've got to have 50 questions from the text. I'm sorry. What I meant was 5 questions per chapter. No, 50 questions from that one text. Got it? All right, thank you. It's a good question, thank you. 50 questions for the text. Okay. Which is why I do this. I probably need to just go back there and edit that silly thing because it's obviously not making sense. My instructions may not be the best. Now, again, next week on Tuesday. Now, on Thursday, I'll probably just be online during class time. I'll be over here in the office. So if you have a question, you could stop by. Or if you have a question, it's okay for you. Well, you should. Go ahead and message me as like I just got the question there. I'll have hours set up next week, virtual office hours, that kind of thing. So I'll be available if you need to talk to me. And then, of course, there's always email. So I'm not just going to cut you loose and not be hanging around waiting if you have a problem or a question. All right. So you got all next week to work. That's flex time. Let's say, okay, the spatial analysis, you ought to be working on it. You ought to be working on the self-developed quiz. These 2 assignments, 5 and 6, the Access we've done. All of this to get you ahead so you can do the finals, okay? Now, the finals schedule is right here. And for us, for you, okay, no, this is not 12:30. This is my 2 to 3:15. Here you are, my friends. Our exam time for this section of BISS 1123 is 8 a.m. to 10 a.m., okay? That's the class, that's the final exam time. That morning, I'll be over here. I'll have a cocktail, a cigar, some scrambled eggs. I'm playing. I won't have the cigar. I will have the cocktail. No, I will not. But I'll be here, and I'll probably be wearing my big rabbit slippers I wear. If you've ever seen the movie Christmas, you know, Ralphie's outfit, I got one of those. I wear it. I won't do that. But I'll be here for those 2 hours. Now, here's how I handle. With my final exams, I have 2 parts. Typically, the first part is an exploratory kind of exam where I have you do some stuff that we've worked on in our cases. The final exam, part 1, is due at the start of the final exam period. So it's due at 8 o'clock Monday morning, no later than 8 o'clock Monday morning, the morning of the Wednesday of the 15th. What was that? Go back here for just a second. I'll find it out here on the calendar. Okay. I think it's Wednesday the 15th. Let me make sure that I don't misstate it and create a problem. It's Wednesday, May 15th. Yes, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. So final exam part 1 is due at 8 o'clock in the morning. Okay. Here's what you're going to do. You probably have visited the course supplemental website. Okay. There's a link to it up there in the welcome module of Canvas. You're going to go over there. You're going to get a CSV file, a comma separated value file. And it's got some data that's scraped from some comments over at the iTunes App Store. And it's on the World Card app. The file, there's the name, how do we fix Snap like that? And it's got 285 records. These are customer reviews, okay? The data were scraped. I scraped them and then put them into the CSV file. Now, I've got a number 2 here. If you want to become familiar with the app, and so you can put their reviews into context, there's a link for you to do and learn about it. Step 3, I have a PowerPoint about this, about what we call sentiment analysis. Sentiment analysis is one of these where we try to take expressions of a sentiment. I like it, I hate it, it's wonderful, don't buy it, please buy it, etc. We look for keywords and phrases that we call tokens, and then we count them, and we'll try to, and we'll count them, and as we do in the management science course, we build a predictive model that tests to see, for example, some tweets about a product. We take some that we know are about the product and we test it versus others to build a predictive model. In this case, you're going to be looking for some particular words and phrases. So step 3 is kind of the PowerPoint, lets you get a quick intro on how you do that. And we're going to be working with Microsoft Access. So folks, listen, you got a lab. It's here for you to use. If you have a Mac, you will have to come to the lab because Mac doesn't have access. Whatever Mac application has won't work. I sent a long detailed email about correct file format, all that business. So you're going to be working with Access. We've been working with it all throughout the course so that you need to understand that's what we're working with. Now, I'm going to have you create an Access database, okay, and use your last name, your first name, and then final part 1, okay? Now we have the comma separated value, okay, that file with all the records. I'm going to have you convert it to a regular Microsoft Excel file. Okay? If this is frightening to you, you haven't been listening. Okay? It just shouldn't be. What I'm going to have you do is we're going to take some data we've scraped off the web. I've got it kind of wrangled for you. Then I'm going to have you convert it, and I'm going to have you import it into Microsoft Access. Okay? Now, when you import that data, you're going to need to look at some of it and import the file, and it will create, of course, a table. And then you're going to need to go through each of those types, each of those fields that are in the data to make sure that you can work with it. Some of them will have to have the data properties changed. Some of them will need to become numbers, okay, for you to be able to work with them. You'll see that when you get there. If you've been paying attention and following, where I've said, okay, we have this data, and it's a date and time, or it's a number, or it's a short text, or something like this. This will give you a bit of experience, because if you don't go in and go into the design view on that table, and you don't make sure that it's in the right data type, you'll have trouble running queries. Okay? I will say no more. Now, let's look at number 7. Number 8. I'm going to have you, for example, tell me how many times the app received a rating of 5. So you're going to have to run a query, and then how many times the app received a rating of 1 by version of app. There are some different versions of that application, like there are of any software. I'm going to have you sort the version of that app on the basis of newest to the oldest. And you have the query that you develop and the report that you're going to call them task 8. The report should indicate the average rating per version of app. Okay. Now, number 9, you're going to create a report that tells me how many times per version per date the title contained the word excellent. So what you're going to be doing is going in, and you can run the query to look for the word find. For example, the query for the word excellent. You could just simply open the table and do the same thing. But I really want you to do a query and then develop a report and call it task 9. Okay? Since we're not dealing with that many fields, it'll be okay. It won't be too jumbled and nasty looking. Step 10. Create a report that tells me how many times per version, per date, the review contained a phrase like do not buy. So each of those records are a review. Should be looking for do not buy. And you run a query, you'll go down into that, you'll choose the table, right? And then the fields that you need, and then on one of those fields, you'll use a criteria, and you'll put do not buy. Okay? We did that. In almost every access case we've worked with. Now, and that would be task 11. You want to find the word easy. You say, oh, okay, I see what we're doing. We're pulling these words and how many times they appeared, etc. Exactly. Then task 11, easy. We're going to look for easy to use. Now, what we're doing is we're doing some data mining. So think about what we'll do through this exercise. I've scraped some data for you off the web, some what we call unstructured data. I've tossed it into a comma-separated value file. You can take that. You will take it and convert it to Excel, throw it in Access, and start and make sure the table, the data types are in the tables are correct, and then start running queries. And you can, if you wish, like I do. When I run a query, what I like to do is before I run it, is say, run, Forrest, run. If you do it in front of me, I will not give you extra points. I may send you to student services. But now, here's task 14. And here I'm going to ask you to take the data, okay, that you had in the Excel file, and you're going to do some work with it. You're going to do a little bit of, you're going to do some work with it in terms of some visualization. And you see here, one of the things I'm asking you to do is to depict the rating per version per quarter for April, May, and June. Okay, limit the analysis ratings, those are highest and lowest. So I want the highest and lowest for April, May, and June. Okay, when you've completed all that, upload your Access file and your Excel file at Canvas. So there's nothing terribly impossible in here to do. It's just detailed, and it's just step by step by step. So what I would, if I were you, I'd print these instructions out and have them with me. So when you do the work, you've got them right beside you. The same thing with the spatial analysis. Anybody have a question? Yes? No? Okay. Now, let's move on. So final exam, part 1, you'll be uploading an Access file and an Excel file. Okay. Now, being an ISO, what I've done is I created a screencast of the instructions for final exam part 1. This is an oldie but a goodie, so anywhere I say Moodle, forget it. It's Canvas. But I have it recorded for you there, and golly, I don't know how long the thing is. 20 minutes, but I walk you through it verbally. I think I show you some of the stuff too, if I'm not mistaken. So I give you verbal instructions. You've got the instructions here now. You've got the written instructions. So you should do pretty well on this. Okay. Then you upload your Access file. It's due at the start. Pardon me. It's due at the start of the final exam period. So you have to have it loaded up there no later. If it's after 8 o'clock, you're in trouble. 8 a.m. Same thing for Microsoft Excel. Okay. Final exam part 2. Okay. It's got to be submitted no later than Wednesday, May 15th at 10 a.m. Central Time. You have 2 hours. It's 25 items. It's drawn from Exam 1, Part 1, and Exam 2, Part 2. So it's kind of a recap of that stuff. It's a 120-minute time, 2 hours, 25 items. And a couple of things. The answers are shuffled. You get one question at a time. No two people are supposed to get the same exam. I'll be able to tell if I did it right or not. You said, well, after I take the thing, will I get to see their correct answers? Yes, you will. On May the 16th from 9 p.m. to 11:59 p.m. So if you want to stay up that Thursday night and take a look at it, you can't, but it's too late because the course is over. And I've learned over the years, and somebody an hour before the file closes, who sends me an email and says, well, I finished mine, can I see the correct answers? I learned early on they weren't really all that interested in their learning. What can I say? I'm just a mean old guy now. All right. Show. And that would be pretty much it in terms of what you've got ahead of you. Now, again, next Tuesday, I'll do another little spiel, 20 minutes or so, and I'll post it over I'll post it. I may even do a pre-recorded screencast. And depending on what it looks like, people are yelling me across for help in the city. If they aren't yelling at me, I'll be here in my office. Same story for Section A. And then for sure, I'll be here on Thursday. And I'll have virtual office hours and all that business if you need to reach me. I'm going to stop now. And one final thing, and it's this. This has to do with timing. Please do not try to do the whole final exam in 2 hours. It ain't going to happen. I've had some pretty smart students who thought they could, and they couldn't get it all done. And so well, I've got it set up now so that if you try to do if you try to turn in final exam part 1 stuff, it's not going to accept it. So I learned the lesson. Part 2, you've got 2 hours. If you don't get it finished, now, if you're off the OBU network and you have a problem, you're out of luck. If you're here, okay. Why do I do that? Well, I want to encourage you to get over here on the system and use it. So if something does indeed happen, you're covered. You can say, look, I was over at the lab, blah, blah, blah. Okay? Because if you're out of town or something like that, and you're not on the network and something happens, I can't do much for you. When the course closes, the course closes. I don't accept any more work. I can't. It's over with. I learned that lesson the hard way. I accepted some work a couple of times, and I got my hands severely slapped, and I will not have my hands slapped again. I was being a nice guy, and I got myself into a fix. I was told, don't ever do it again. The course is over. Okay. I follow orders. Mine is not to reason why. Mine is but to learn and die. Mine's to teach and die. Yours is to learn and die. Anybody have a question? Okay. Anybody know the price of 6 packs at Walmart? Diet Dr. Pepper. See, I got you, didn't I? No? Well, you're a pretty lousy crowd today. Not much to say. Any questions? Okay, if you don't have any more questions, I'm going to head back to the office. I'll be over there, and around a little before 3, whatever, I will shut her down. Okay? Okay, folks, thank you much. And hopefully I can get some things squared away and be over here next Tuesday and Thursday. All righty. Thank you much. So I'll be on here for about another 20 minutes. You guys have any questions in here? Anything? All clear? Yes. From here on out, you're in flex time. Now, technically, what you guys should be doing is working on your assignments, the finals and the projects and stuff. That's what you should be doing in here during the class time. And if you're smart, I'd use the 2.5 hours a week to come in and do it and get it out, knocked out. Or you could do it at another time. It'd be up to you. All good? All good. All right. All right. Thank you. Oh, wow. More questions here. I think I see Jerry. Oh, I thought it was Jerry Springer. I guess you're heading out, huh? Oh, you're here for a while. I'm here till, well, once this class is finished, I'm in project mode with them, but once I finish the period, I'm off to grab Roger. He's sold his house and he's getting an apartment. Roger is. Yeah. No, he's in a nice area. It's a nice house. Brand new, you know, so I tried to encourage him to keep it and rent it out and make some money. But what do I know? I see there's still 4 of you on there. Do any of the 4 of you have a question? Okay. You're going to get to see me make a video. Isn't that exciting? Yeah, he had some guy that came in and offered him just a hair below his asking price, so I guess he jumped at it. As you can see, the video, this is from section A, has been processed. So now I'm going to publish it, and then I'll put it over in section A in their announcements area. Same process I'll do when I'm finished recording this section. Okay, I'll take one last shot at that. Does anybody have any questions? If not, I'm going to go ahead and shut this off and then post the video. Anybody have a question? One final time. Okay, folks. Have a good weekend.